We've always loved small nuggety cars. They might be cheap and small, but that doesn't mean that you can't dream big. It's this idea that started our channel all those years ago, and it really doesn't get much bigger than racing at an international level against 50 other cars on a circuit that's built for Formula One. And that is exactly what we did in 2023 at the K-Car Global event in Sepang in Malaysia. In just a few short days, we turned this high-kilometre commuter car with Love Heart wheels into a race car. We added a cage, race seat, harness, exhaust, and a heap of custom parts that we'd put together at home in advance, not really knowing what we were getting ourselves into. For our test bed, we got this rusty L700 Seor with a car on its roof. It was destined for the scrapoo, but its final battle was to be put through its paces at a track in Sydney, and just like that, we dove headfirst into the world of 24-hour endurance racing. The build and the race was one of the hardest things we've ever done. It was hot, our engine failed, our gearbox failed, but we refused to fail, and we worked throughout the night to repair the car and get it back on track. We even drove for hours into the night back to Kuala Lumpur, trying to find parts to keep our little car working, while our competitors lapped consistently throughout the night. There were some cars that failed and never made it back on track, but we did finish the race, an amazing achievement that we will never forget. But we came last.
Not through lack of trying, we drove our absolute hearts out. We got some really competitive times for the class of car that we were in, but the car did let us down mechanically. It turns out that building the car in the week preceding a 24-hour endurance race is not really what people do.
Luckily, we did manage to get back out on track thanks to the generosity and kindness of the teams that were around us. But like Doc Brown said to Marty McFly, we need to go back. We need to go back to Kuala Lumpur, and maybe this time with something more competitive.
Funny you mention that, because there has been a little secret squirrel skunkworks project that's been on the go for a number of months. This is our 2025 Team Kuala Lumpur Malaysia Sepang 24-hour endurance race, Daihatsu.
Racing car, Daihatsu Kiore, Daihatsu Mira.
Technically, this is a Daihatsu Handy.
Why is that?
Two-seater, it's the commercial version. It's officially, it's a two-seater from the factory.
How's it a Handy if there's no back seats?
I don't know, apparently in the front seats is where all the action is, but either way, this is our race car in the same class as last time, so still naturally aspirated and still that 1 litre engine, but with some tweaks. There's limits to what you can do in the class to keep it fair, but we have absolutely maximised up to the limit to make this thing as competitive as possible.
Now we are shipping this thing out of the country tomorrow, which gives us just a little bit of time to tell you about how this car was built and developed.
It's so cute. This is what let us down, remember last time?
Yes.
This, not this time, mate. This is why we are doing it properly and making sure we have a high quality part.
Straight in.
Instagram finish, look at this. Engine's in. Look at our race car. Bit of livery still to do.
See my build. Just start it.
To start it? Well, we would if your wiring was finished. Is it finished?
Yes.
Yes, look at that. Wiring is actually done. Spent heaps of time. Driving off the hoist, we actually will be. Just to date this, there's the Hilux still in bits. Doesn't even have brakes. So this is how many months ago we are right now. So some people are like, well, that could be any time. Nope. Not even done. Not even done. And this needs to be on a boat in like 3 bit weeks.
You know why? Because shipping stuff takes forever.
Hey, you've got some experience with that, Benny.
Nah, I've never been caught out by shipping internationally.
What's the go shipping a car internationally?
It is the most stressful thing you would ever do if you're trying to do a specific dated event. Because you are, the second you drop the car at the port, you're at the mercy of whatever happens over there. Between packing, transporting, transshipping. Fortunately, this is actually going ro-ro as far as I know.
Yeah.
Which is drive onto a boat, drive off a boat.
Yeah.
So less painful, but the downside is you can't take any tools or equipment. So I've never tried to ro-ro a race car, so might be a thing in the future and then just buy everything when I get there. But I don't know. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other sometimes, I think.
Thanks, Benny. Yep, this dude has driven cars all over the world, his own cars. So fingers crossed. We've still got a lot to do. He's going to hit the dyno next. We're going to basically bolt that in, run an extra fuel line. It's pretty much done then. So what's become a bit of a habit with this car is a few late nights. So we're at just after 10 o'clock the night before the dyno. So tomorrow we'll take this to the dyno. Dave is finalising some gauge wiring, and also we'll do something about that battery being there. We do have a lithium that's going in, which is there, but that's just a dummy one. So we've got to get our actual one soon. What else is going on? We redid the fuel system. We made it a return system. Used to be deadhead. Now we're returning it so we have better control over the pressure, and we can also log fuel pressure and have it going into the ECU. Julian's made a heat shield so it sort of keeps the exhaust heat down and get some fresh air through the grill up into the airbox, which we are using a stock airbox just with no sort of bottom on it. It'll give plenty of airflow, but still just be original intake. A whole bunch of wiring there. It's got a PDM in it. That's Dave's loom, so no factory wiring anymore. Everything has been messed with. We've also got the variable valve tone, but that is something that we haven't worked out how to make it work yet, because that changes things. There you go, Dave's messing with the PDM in there, so we can do lights and everything from the Haltech keypad, which is pretty cool. So dyno first thing tomorrow morning, booked in with Scott, and we're gonna be running up on the dyno, not to make a big power figure, but more to work out what our red line is. Gearing and stuff comes into it as well, and Julian has put in a new Xtreme Clutch and also a limited slip diff, which we got from Rob at Import Monster and got it sent over from Japan. So we do have our LSD as well. We've done some testing with this car at Motorsport Park. Julian, what time did you say you got at Motorsport Park?
2:25.
2:25. So a stock BRZ, you can get into like the 150s and 140s. So it's not fast, but it's not about fast. It's about being fast in the class that it's in, and also testing it at the right kind of track. So what we're hoping to do is, once it's dyno, go back to Motorsport Park and try and see how much that time has improved. Now we've got wider tyres, the changes with dynoing it properly, and a few other bits and pieces. So let's see. It's takes quite a lot of work to get to this point. We're also going to change the wrap a little bit, the livery a bit. That's on the cards as well. So anyway, getting late. Dyno tomorrow. See you later.
The class we're in means there's no big performance mods like turbos, big cams, high comp engines and stuff like that. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen, because there's really no way for the scrutineers to test this, and the category relies on a level of fair play. We're using the same engine configuration that some of the Malaysian cars have, which includes cam control, but we need an aftermarket ECU to activate it. Our outright number will ultimately be governed by the laws of physics of how much air this little engine can flow.
I'm on the dyno with Scott from Haltech. It's a very, very fun, enjoyable and educational place to be in the little Daihatsu. Now, we do have variable cam control, but we don't know for sure how it works. No one's tuned one of these in Australia that we know of, because they don't exist here. So the Haltech will have trigger patterns in there so it can understand what engine's trying to do, but this isn't in the system. Is that correct? Because this car doesn't exist.
Bit of a weird trigger type. So what I'm just trying to get a feel for is, because you've added cam control where we never had that before, the relationship between the crank teeth and the cam teeth now doesn't exactly line up with any normal car, or just any factory car, I should say.
It is still running though. That's because you can run it off the crank.
That's right.
And the cam will sit in the same spot. We just won't have control over it. So the day is not a bust regardless of what happens. We can still get numbers. We can still make power. But we may not optimise the airflow potentially. We'll see what happens, right?
We've got some funny business going on with the cam, because typically with an inlet camshaft on something like this, we would want to advance it right up, and that'll give us the best bottom end torque or the best airflow. And then the harder that we rev it, we want to retard that camshaft normally, which will give us the most top end. So the idea of this is that we can maximise the torque curve for as long as possible.
I see.
The problem that I've got is that with the cam angle at 0, so far it seems to be making the best power everywhere, or the best airflow everywhere at 0. It doesn't want any cam advance at all.
I wonder if it's redundant in a way, and that's why we never got it. That's one
just figured it out. Yeah, I don't know.
But we'll find out. That's part of the fun of being here, I guess, to try and give it a go.
So what we'll do, we'll put the thing under a little bit of load. We'll tune it up with 0 cam angle, and then we'll advance the cam and we'll just essentially electronically we'll just advance the whole inlet camshaft 10 degrees. See what happens.
Mad.
And then we'll advance it to 20 degrees, then we'll advance it to 30 degrees. Will give us a bunch of power runs, and wherever the power lines cross, we can kind of start roughing the map in.
Sounds great.
All right.
Into it we go. Back in a Daihatsu, Scott.
Yeah.
It's been a while. They do have lots of headroom, which is good, isn't it?
It is big in here, isn't it?
Yeah. Not this way, but this way it is, which is what we need when we got long legs.
Is this the seat you'll be using?
No, I probably have a race seat with a harness.
Oh, yeah, nice.
So even more room, actually.
Start locking.
Hey, what'd I say?
Not bad. The mixtures look really nice just then, so I'm very pleased with that. Which, the flatter the torque curve is, the easier it is to tune, because if it's one torque number, we're essentially going to end up with all of our VE tables are going to be really flat.
Yeah.
All the ignition values will be really nice and flat.
Great. So that's a good starting point.
Absolutely.
And it's usually the case with an NA car like this, if you don't have much control over anything, unless you're bumping your RPM because it wants more and can handle more mechanically, adding a bit of air with a cam control, you're not really going to make big numbers different to that ever, are you? Timing?
Down low, it makes a difference. So we'll
Okay.
put more in it. Up the top, it'll be exactly the same.
Sure.
Because typically, if the cam control's like unplugged or if it doesn't have it, that's got the best top end power, but you lose the low end grunt.
Interestingly, because race car, we will always be revs up most of the time.
For sure. So, cam control is fantastic for that. Like, getting it to come on, it does make a difference.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It's nice. Undo.
That's a good result, isn't it?
You can see that there's enough.
Okay, cool. So we haven't wasted our time necessarily. We might have a bit more grunt, but is it worth it?
Off the start line, you'll probably have a little bit more.
Yeah, okay. All right, so a bit of a summary of what's just happened was lots of back-to-back runs. Scotty was messing with the air-fuel ratio, so leaning it out a bit in the top, which worked, but then leaning it out more didn't, so you kind of found your happy place.
Yep.
Same with timing.
So typically to pick the mixture, we'll find the place where it's not making any difference to the power at all. And then typically you want to add at 3%, and we're doing that for cylinder cooling using the fuel.
Sure.
So we've done that, and we've picked up, it's all percentage-wise, it's a couple of percent here or there.
Totally.
But
But that's
all
tuning,
adds up.
isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what tuning is.
Like, there's no point in spending all the money and travelling around the world with this car, and then if it could have 40 kilowatts or 43 kilowatts, it's 5 or 6%.
If you've got the
there's
hardware
something
there.
there.
Yeah, for
You may
sure.
as well. The benefit, look, realistically, you're probably not driving this thing below, say, 3,000 RPM.
Much.
Is not realistic.
There's some tight corners, and it's a slow car, so you sometimes do have to.
Yeah, okay. So
You can't hold speed.
what you can see here, so that red line is with the VCT set to 0, so not using it at all, that locked out.
Okay.
The blue one is the best that I can get out of it. So if we said
It's not nothing.
2,000 RPM, it's 24 to 5 kilowatts, something like that.
Man, on an engine that only makes 50.
What if we go over this side, and if we go percentage difference in torque,
20%.
at 2,200 RPM, it's got 21% more.
I'll take it. But really noticeably difference drops off, doesn't it? Like it's like
does.
helps you for a bit and then there's nowhere.
Yep, and then you just end up wanting to come back to exactly the same spot.
Well, that's good because that means trying to get. I mean, with these kind of engines, you are trying to eke every little last bit of percent out of them. Because again, we can't just strap turbos on. We can't rebuild them. We haven't gone high comp and trying to We are just trying to optimize what a 1 litre Daihatsu Project or whatever engine can do.
And look, having percentage-wise to be making that much. Admittedly, it's under $3,000. Above that, and this is textbook what's going to happen when we're advancing the camshaft. We're going to make more bottom end, but we would have lost top end.
Okay.
So exactly what's happened, and then we find the sweet spot, and then we find the crossover point, and then the shape of the ignition map of the target cam angle map.
Yep.
Basically looks like this on just about any style of engine that has a setup that
Does look familiar.
advanced. Yep, your Subaru would look exactly the same.
So we are about to, with this car engine, whatever, we're about to do 24 hours straight of dyno pulls.
Yeah.
Because if you think about that straight,
Yeah.
you're in 4th gear and then 5th, you are flat chat.
Yeah, it's
How do you
wild
feel
to
about
think,
that?
isn't it? Look,
You've done lots of race cars,
typically if something's going to break, it's going to break on the dyno.
Yeah.
Like mechanically, there's so many stresses with what you're talking about that I would be more nervous about you for a mechanical failure of an oil pump, of a timing chain, belt, gear assembly.
Sure.
If the thing comes off the dyno and it's sweet, the mixtures look beautiful, it's not misfire, it just feels great. Now it's component failure is going to be the problem.
Sure. Which there's no getting away from.
And can't do much about that except for testing on the dyno, like you can sit on the dyno for an hour if you want and just hold the thing wide open, but then at what point are you running it out?
Yes.
And that's the trick, right?
The engine is a consumable.
Yeah. So, and you know, like this engine should do 200, 300,000 kilometers, whatever it's going to do.
Yep.
You're going to have a coil failure, you're going to have an injector failure, a fuel pump failure.
Which can then cook an engine, right? That's the other thing.
Yeah. Oil temps are going to get too hot, and then all of a sudden we've got other problems happening.
Yeah.
But
So we have put in some safeties. The only last thing I'll say is we have put in some safeties. Scotty set up safety on AFR.
yeah, so we've got, if it goes leaner than 14.2
Yes.
for longer than half a second,
Yep.
I'm not expecting that to happen. So that means something weird's going on. So we've got one rev limiter that's just $3,500 rev limiter.
Which means you're not stuck on a track with a dead car.
Yeah, which in a street car, for something like, say, oil pressure, for example, you kind of do want it to shut the car down and stop the damage. Whereas in a race car, you kind of have to speak to the driver and ask what's common in their racing series. If it was a jet boat, for example, there are no engine safeties because
Really?
if the engine turns off, you've got no steering.
Yeah, of course.
So just they drive them till the rods fall out, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
If it's a street car, you just want to get off the road safely.
Clutch in and get out of the way.
If you're at some weird Formula One circuit, there could be genuine rules where they say you're not allowed to have the engine management turn the car off. I don't know, but that happens in other forms of racing where you're just not allowed to do it.
Yeah.
You can't save the engine, but it costs what it costs.
Crazy, man. So a couple of years ago, we were in here with our rusty Daihatsu, the one with the car on the top. That was our test vehicle the last time we did this shenanigans. And we thought we'd just load it up on the dyno and have a look. And look at the difference, Scotty.
Yeah,
Substantial.
The work that's done to this, like I know the numbers are small, but percentage-wise, massive improvement.
That's
So-
feel it on the road stuff, man. That's going to feel so much more grunty.
So that one the rusty car had, let's just call it 31-ish kilowatts, something like that.
Yep.
Whereas this thing's got 36-ish kilowatts.
Yep.
And if we talk about that as a percentage difference, ballpark, it's got 20,
Awesome.
25%,
That's so good.
something like that.
And I think our car in Malaysia was down on power because the engine was a bit sick. So
Yeah,
I reckon we're racing with even less than that. So potentially we're going to be racing with nearly double what we had.
And remember
Which is
the other
awesome.
thing,
We won't get walked on the straights.
now you can rev this thing as well. So that was running out of puff and rolling over
Pretty early on.
pretty early on. Whereas
Granted,
now,
we might have been in a different gear, but
may have been in a different year, but remembering in these as well that they don't have enough torque to keep up the inertial load of the dyno. So pretty realistic that, this thing's got another at least 1,000 RPM of actual usable power.
that's awesome, man.
So if that
So
helps
good.
to hold you in a gear for longer, so you're doing left gear shifting,
Yep.
and it's going to make a
We couldn't beat wind
difference.
resistance on the end of the straight. Like, let's be real. Like, at least now we get to choose when we stop accelerating.
Yeah. Well,
Fantastic.
look, there's a clear 20 to 35%, averaging about 25% gain
Yep.
everywhere.
So a healthy motor that breathes properly, tuned right,
Yep.
fantastic.
The VTEC
and all with
probably-
stock stuff.
Yeah, standard. The VTEC probably did less than I was expecting. Below $3,000, it's noticeable, and there's a percentage gain there.
Yeah.
Above about $3,000, I wouldn't expect that much.
Cool.
So overall, awesome result, and it's going to make it off the dyno. So
Yeah.
it's another one that's going.
Now we have to torture test this thing on the track.
It's not all just about power with a track car, particularly one that's supposed to run flat out for 24 hours, stopping only for driver changes and extra fuel. Our team lineup has changed a little bit this year due to clashing events, but the good news is Dave is stepping up into the driver's seat this year, so not only has he helped wire the car, he's going to spend hours and hours doing laps of Sepang if all goes to plan. He and Julian are back at City Motorsport Park for a nighttime session to get some test laps in. Julian's got a bit of experience both driving and also as a rally team mechanic, and works on cars for his day job, so he's going to head out and make sure everything is working as it should.
Alright, have fun. All good, thanks buddy. The handling's okay, but it needs some work. Listen to it. Oh shit, I just got jumped. Not too bad. 216. That now that it's having DVT,
Yep.
with this push out, it's
Julian was just saying that the cam seal, when you checked it last time, was actually pushed out just a fraction, but it was enough to make it weak just a little bit. Not a lot of driving. I hope it doesn't push out the whole way over the 24 hours.
I have marked this line. It's one of the old school ways to tell your tire pressure. So you want it to roll right over the edge a slight bit, like 2-3 mil. That's when you know you have the optimum tire pressure. Like right now it's a bit too high. So I'm gonna drop it by 2 psi.
Aside from a small oil leak, everything seems to be going well, and Julian has shaved off quite a few seconds of the best time this car's ever gone around Sydney Motorsport Park. And speaking of that, it's now Dave's first time ever on a racetrack, and he's behind the wheel of a Daihatsu.
I think he's gonna do alright. Dave was just lying, he doesn't know how to drive, but he knows how to drive.
Someone has to do it. Wow, this guy's better than I expected. Usually I just wire them and then they're gone. Driving something this small over 150 kilometers an hour is a little bit different. Awesome, this is so good. I'm so keen for Sepang.
With a successful track test completed, it's time for the car to make its way to Malaysia. But first we've got to get our team logo installed on the sides and the top of the car. And did I mention you can get this on a shirt? Check it out, it looks amazing. Anyway, the last step is safety. We're going to use the same roll cage we did last time, which we got via Rob from Import Monster out of Japan. With the help of some of our mates, we've soon got this installed and the car is ready to hit the high seas.
It's actually going to go on a roll-on, roll-off boat. You can put something like this in a shipping container, but it costs about 3 Daihatsus to do so. So we're going to do roll-on, roll-off because the car does run and operate. It actually goes on a boat down in Port Kembla, which is about an hour south of Sydney, and then it will go to Singapore. It was going to go to Malaysia, and it's worth mentioning, we're 2 months out from the race right now. And that's only a 3-week voyage. But that boat that's supposed to go to Malaysia goes via Thailand. If it gets held up in Thailand, it will never make it to Malaysia. So shipping company said Singapore is a safer bet because inside Singapore is a 3-hour drive to Sepang.
And also, vehicles like this, they need a certain kind of passport, just like a human does, that's called a carnet. The carnet for this cost more than the actual car. So it turns out that race car things and then shipping them to other countries around the world, it's a very expensive thing.
It is eye-wateringly expensive, but what that allows you to do, it allows you to drive this car on the road overseas in a lot of countries. That passport actually works in a whole bunch of different countries on the Australian number plate. So this thing will be cruising down the road from Singapore into Malaysia, down the freeway, on its way to Sepang.
That's a real number plate.
With those plates.
So that is a real New South Wales number plate in the Aussie style MCM 24-hour, and we will be able to drive this car in Kuala Lumpur.
Exactly right. So we've started to assemble our team. Some of our team members from last time can't make it due to other commitments, but we will have a full team. And the next time you see this car and we see this car, hopefully we'll be on a dock in Singapore where it will then be driven into Sepang in Malaysia.
Sounds simple, right? But it's not. It turns out shipping a car anywhere off this little island nation of Australia is fraught with potential issues, and I think we ran into nearly every single one of them. Getting the car to Singapore was the easy part. Getting it off the docks would prove to be the hardest bureaucratic nightmare we've ever experienced. It ended up being cheaper for Julian to jump onto a flight to Singapore to receive the car personally. and it had to be Julian because the car was in his name, meaning he had to hand deliver the original 30-page copy of the carnet. That's the car's permission slip that allowed it in and out of the country. Never mind the invoices that just kept coming. Clearance fees, taxes, and more fees. It seemed endless. Finally, after an induction and Singaporean port ID card, he was allowed through the front gate to find our race car.
So after hours of paperwork and documentation, this thing cannot be driven in Singaporean roads. So I have to leave it here again, and it needs to be towed in a tow truck.
So even with our extensive and expensive paperwork, it turns out because our intended destination was Malaysia, we wouldn't be allowed to drive the 8 kilometres from the port to the border without extensive safety checks. And you have to book that weeks in advance. And our race was in just a few weeks, so Julian jumped on a plane back home and we went back to the drawing board. A month later, and with almost no information on where the car was, this photo came through. The car was on the back of a tow truck and making its way to Malaysia. The cost to get it out of the port and across the border, plus a 3-hour drive down towards Sepang Circuit, $3,000, more than it cost to ship the car from Australia. But the pain of that bill soon faded when we saw this, our 2023 race car side by side with our new and improved version. Julian's dad offered up the use of his driveway, original Mighty Car Mod style, and we borrowed some of the parts that didn't break from our old race car and swapped them into our new one. Julian's dad even lent a hand straightening every single one of the fins on our alloy radiator. What a legend. Next was suspension. Our old car handled pretty well due to this stuff, so to save some costs, we swapped that over too. Then the race seat, harness, and a few other odds and ends came over to our 2025 Daihatsu Handy Endurance car. Then it could go back onto a truck and make its way to Sepang Circuit, where the rest of the team would be arriving in just a few days' time. And we'll tell you exactly what happened next time on Mighty Car Mods.